Well, thank you for joining me for another iTWire video with top IT executives. Today I have with me Gary Duffield. He is the Vendor and Marketing Manager for DDLS. Gary, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
So I thought probably start off with the obvious. Please tell us about DDLS and a little bit about yourself and your history in the learning business.
I guess I can tie those two things together a little bit. DDLS is a learning organisation. We're a training company where I think we'd probably describe ourselves as broad spectrum. You know, we deliver across people, process, technology, and maybe we can chat more about that a little bit later on.
Sure.
But broadly, what we're in the business of doing is enabling businesses, enabling individuals to reach their potential, to do their day jobs better.
So it's not just about MCSEs or learning how to use particular programs, it's a whole spectrum of learning.
It's a whole spectrum, and I think the skill these days is looking at what a business requires and what the objectives of that business are. I think if you go back a few years, the MCSE and the C&E before that, that was the thing people craved. They wanted that certification for a whole variety of different reasons. I think because certainly the MCSE is quite complex now, I think you have to clearly align that to what the business is trying to do. There are multiple MCSEs, for example. Is it about infrastructure? Is it potentially about development, which is a slightly different certification? It's not a one-size-fits-all anymore, and we know that. You know, we know what organisations are doing with technology. There's no buy this and this solves all your problems.
So how did you get into the whole learning business, in a nutshell?
In a nutshell, take the snapshot view of me. You know, I left school with no qualifications. I was late in realising the power of learning and certification. You know, I worked at McDonald's. Actually, the best training business in the world is probably McDonald's, and you know, they're a process of awarding stars for various things. But we're amongst friends. I think I can share with you that I got sacked from McDonald's, and there was a revelation at that point that, you know, I really needed to reboot my life. Although I probably wouldn't have used that term at that time. And I got an apprenticeship. This was back in the dark old days in the UK, and I started repairing TVs, closed circuit TVs in actual fact. And in those days there was no MCSE, no CNE, no degrees in IT particularly. And computer engineers basically came from TV engineers. We knew about soldering irons and bits of wire. And, you know, back in those days, we repaired computers. It wasn't board swapping. It was, you know, getting your soldering iron out, your Azimuth adjustment CD, and your oscilloscope, and repairing floppy disk drive. You know, imagine repairing a floppy disk drive today. It just simply just wouldn't happen. And I think in terms of my career, I kind of evolved as that job became less skilled and became more board swapping. I sort of moved through the spectrum. And at one point, we decided to create a learning business, and I worked for that business for 25 years in the UK. Decided Australia was where I needed to be. Actually, I asked Microsoft who I should work for, and they said, DDLS, they're the business you should speak to.
So DDLS obviously been around for a long time too.
We've been around for well over 20 years. And, you know,
so Microsoft said to work for them? And
they said they're a good company, go and check these guys out. And, you know, I pursued DDLS, I followed them around. I met one of their guys in a lift in London. He must have thought I was an idiot. Hey, you work for DDLS? You tell me more about the business. And I met effectively our sales manager, a guy called Mike Devitt, at a WPC, Worldwide Partner Conference, Microsoft in Washington DC. And I'd lined up all these Microsoft people to say nice things about me, and he said, Gary, don't need it. We surrender. If you want a job, come on board. And, you know, literally I put all my worldly goods in a suitcase, left the UK, left my wife, my daughter, my dog, all my worldly belongings over there, and turned up at DDLS, and, you know, the rest is history.
Well, and then once you were successful, you brought them all out from the UK?
Yeah, and that was kind of, you know, they found me. I hid for a little while, but damn this social media, they found out where I was. I never should have checked in Australia. That was, it was downhill from there, really. No, it was always the plan once we'd sold the house, and, you know, literally we bought the car, the wife, the dog, and the daughter, and this is home. You know, we absolutely love Australia. I have a great affinity with DDLS. It's the same business as in the UK, you know, exactly the same. We're the largest provider in this market. And, you know, now I started as an account manager, but now I look after our vendors, both technical and you know, those around sort of process, project management, etc. And, you know, what a great job. I live in Perth. I get to come to Sydney very frequently. I go to Melbourne frequently. I get to work with all of the vendors. You know, I'm at Microsoft this week. I've seen VMware. I'm seeing Cisco. And, you know, you just absorb, you know, what they're doing, the excitement and their sort of evangelism of their products.
Yeah, and it's clear to see you're a very evangelistic, excitable, you know, passionate person yourself.
I'm still a geek, you know. I think I saw early on that you can be technical and you can be commercial, but there's not many people who bridge those two worlds. But if you can, actually, that gives you you know, real advantages, because you can talk to the technical teams here, translate that into business value over here. You know, for a lot of techies, you know, their idea of business analysis is taking the DVD out of the packet, running setup, clicking next, and finish. You know, and in the days of cloud, that can't continue. There has to be a different approach. But I'm very passionate about what we do, and as I said, I have the best job in the world.
So people, process, and technology. So that means it's not, as we said before, it's not just courses about programming languages or system center, for example, but it's also business courses to help people with management, and also that whole concept of the agile methodology.
Well, it's recognition early on, really, that it's not just about, as I said, ripping the DVD open and clicking next, finish. Actually, somebody somewhere has made the decision to buy that. There has to be that business analysis piece. So we structure our business around people, process, and technology. Technology is everything from installing Windows Server, installing BizTalk Server, installing SQL Server, maintaining those products. That then scales right the way through to sort of very advanced and very in-depth training in those areas. And .NET and development as well, not just around Microsoft, but other products, and the Cisco and the infrastructure, and all the kind of the cabling that binds this together. But what are the decisions that put that there in the first place? What's the business analysis piece? Who's running this project? Is it a project? What are the critical components and the milestones? And that sits very much in our process business. Prince 2 is a big opportunity for us. Agile is growing significantly. Interesting. I'm on an Agile course next week, actually. We to use the Microsoft expression, we eat our own dog food. I'm attending a DDLS course. I will do the certification. Nobody's failed it in this business, so I'm under pressure to get that passed next week. But I like Agile. It's the way I work. I'm a very visual kind of person, and Agile, you're sticking post-its up and you're delivering the project in smaller increments rather than starting and aiming for that thing there. You're sort of changing it and cutting and dicing as you go through that. But I guess with the best will in the world, you can deploy the greatest and most fantastic technology in the world, but if you don't enable your users, if you don't tell your users how to use this stuff, there's no return on investment. So I guess the people part of our business, it includes we call it end user adoption services. How do you actually deliver return on investment from this stuff? And in the age of cloud, and here's the biggie for me, in the age of cloud, what you're doing is you're bringing enterprise class capabilities into the small to medium sized business. Go back 5 years, only the big banks, etc., had presence, products like Link or Skype for Business, as it's recently been rebranded. Today, you can be a business with 5 users and have that capability, have the ability to co-author documents. So it's a whole new ballgame, not only from an installation and maintenance point of view, but also from an adoption and usage point of view. And if you want to get value for money out of this stuff, then you have to invest in enabling your people, and that's what DDLS are in the business of doing.
So what are some of your more popular courses at the moment?
It's a good question. I always think a learning business is a great barometer of what's going on in our industry. I'd ask people to think, if you think of Microsoft, what would you suggest would be the most popular course? And most people probably think, I don't know, Excel or Windows, so maybe even Windows 8, Windows 10, imminent, coming to a training centre near you soon. Our most popular Microsoft course is actually a course around a product called System Center. And System Center is all about control, management, ensuring that you know what assets you've got in your business, remote controlling PCs, making a dynamic infrastructure. If situation X occurs, then spin something up that moves virtual machines or whatever. You don't install that product if you're a one-man band or a 5-man band. 100, 150, 50,000 users. Those are the kind of environments you see that kind of technology. So it says to me that organizations, larger organizations, are investing in that dynamic infrastructure, in the ability to manage and control at a much more granular degree than people have had the opportunity to do before. And ITIL, the IT Infrastructure Library, if you're not familiar with that, I'd urge viewers to have a quick bing around, to have a look, or a Google around to see about that. It's kind of the rules. I'm reluctant to say methodology, but I'll use that term. It's the methodology by which you might run your service desk. So taking that and System Center, clearly there's a lot of noise, a lot of activity going on around enterprise class management of the assets that they've actually got.
And Cisco stuff? Cisco
stuff remains consistently popular. From the foundations, the CCNA level stuff, all the way through to sort of wireless and security. But what we've talked about are very specific. The Microsoft thing, the Cisco thing. There's an analogy I use. I sort of compare it to an onion. Would you believe? Think of the Microsoft course or the Cisco course as the onion, as the centre of the onion. Wrapping around it, you've got your project management, your service delivery. Security is growing significantly for us right now. There's a course we've just brought on board called the Certified Ethical Hacker Program from EC Council. Typically with a new course, it kind of ticks over. and it grows. This went from almost nothing to something straight away, which suggests that the market is crying out for more knowledge, more understanding about what is security, what is penetration testing, how do we ensure that we're secure from the rogues and the villains that are out there, and everybody viewing this will know there are lots of stories of businesses being compromised. I would never want to be in the position of having to go to my board and say, hey, you know what, guys, we've had a breach. Again, eating our own dog food. You've got to consume this stuff. You've got to be very aware of what the risks are. And frankly, you can't work it out by watching a YouTube video. You have to get yourself with a subject matter expert, strapped in a room with somebody that you can question and interrogate, and pin against the wall until you get the answers that you're looking for.
So you mentioned cloud before, and clearly the world is changing with cloud, and people need to learn about project managing and less technical roles. So what do you offer in that space?
I mean, you're right, and this plays back to the comments I made around sort of using this technology. If I was to share with you the growth areas for us right now, Office 365 is a significant growth area for us right now, and it's another one of those things that bucked the trend. It went from nothing to people being interested, and quite often there's kind of a lag. The product ships, the training ships, you get partners coming to enable themselves in how to deploy this stuff, but we almost went from naught to end users or consumers of this technology overnight. Which again,
to a huge number.
To a huge number. We're running the courses nationally for Office 365. We've just completed a large project for a telecoms provider. Well, we've taken Office 365 training around this country into accounts with 20 seats, with 50 seats, with 250 seats, and beyond.
And of course, Microsoft is now updating Office 365 on a very regular basis because it's a cloud product and they can do that. You don't have to wait for 3 years for the next version to ship.
Again, you're right. And for us, a learning business, that presents us with a challenge. There used to be the 3-year cycle. NT4 ships, you run the training for 3 years, Windows 2000 ships, and so it completes. With a cycle now, and I think it's 9 weeks, I could be wrong, but with changes being pushed out to Office 365 every 9 weeks, that's pretty scary stuff from a user point of view, from a technical point of view, from a learning company point of view. And we recognise that. We've just switched recently to digital courseware for Microsoft. One of the big benefits of that is clearly you're not killing trees to actually print the manuals, but also that content will update.
So I was going to say, once the course is finished, do you have a certain number of months where you can keep going back to get learnings about the new changes that have happened over
it carries on for the life of that product pretty much. So if you attend an Office 365 Identity and Services course with us today, and it's version C, for example, of that course, if a new version of that manual ships in digital format, you will automatically get version D, E, F, G, H. I'm challenging myself with the alphabet here.
Yeah, theoretically you would have to learn that yourself. If you wanted to be taken through that, you would sign up for a new course. But if you wanted it self-learned, it's there.
But as a learning business, in my plan and in my mind is what I describe as sort of Delta level courses. So maybe 6 months, a year after you attended the first course, maybe we do a 1-day or a 2-day Delta course. Here's the stuff that's kind of changed. Here's the stuff that's new. Clearly you'd have to pay for that, but you've already got the courseware, and frankly...
So, what I was saying is you can do it yourself, but if you wanted to be led through that, then you've got the Delta course that you're talking about.
Exactly right.
So that's the best of both worlds.
It's a double whammy. You can go and review that content if you really wish. I guess what I'd say around this is, I shipped up from the UK to pack up everything I owned, a collection of 32 Daleks, would you believe, my Cyberman collection, my DVD box set of every Doctor Who episode ever, and also...
How many suitcases was all that?
Well, to be fair, I was here as my wife doing all of this, and there's 2 things. Once you phoned up and said, do you really want all these T-shirts? She said, you got about 130 T-shirts. I said, get rid of the word perfect ones. You can leave those. But she said, you've got hundreds and hundreds of manuals. Do you really want to bring all those manuals? And as much as I loved my NetWare 3 manual and my OS 2 Warp manual, and yes, I really did do that course. The answer was no. She brought about 5 manuals over with her. If I can go onto my iPad or my Surface and just open up my digital library, and we're investing in our own digital library as well for our own content, and it's there, and it's up to date, I'd much sooner carry that capability around with me than think, must find my NT4 Core Technologies manual and check out, what thunking means because somebody just said it to me. So
now, one of the things I always like to ask, and people who watch the videos know that this question is coming, but it's about what is the best piece of advice that you've ever learned to help you get to where you are today. And I don't know if it's from a Doctor Who episode or from something at McDonald's or from one of your mentors or your parents, but there must be something.
I am passionate about mentoring, actually. I run mentoring for the ACS in WA. I think I've got kind of a number of life mottos, and one I just recently actually wrote to my daughter. We had to write a letter because she was on retreat, and it was along the lines of, if your ship doesn't come in, swim out to it. I think you have to self-enable. If I'd I got sacked from McDonald's, if I didn't work out what the solution was, and that solution was around education, getting City and Guilds in TV repair and COBOL, I have City and Guilds in COBOL as well, and then ultimately at the age of 40 doing a degree, work out what your ship looks like and then swim out to it. We have people in the centre right now, 100 people in this building, who are all on a journey somewhere, and they see education as part of that journey.
They're all swimming.
They're all swimming. I mean, but I guess the thing is these days, we used to know what the ship looked like, and it used to be exactly where we parked it.
Now you're going to find it.
And we knew there'd be a new ship along in 3 years. It'd be slightly different, one more funnel, and perhaps the propellers would spin the other way. Whereas now, those ships are not. The metaphor works really well. I'll use this again. Those ships are just not where they used to be, and they're not the same shape.
Now they're spaceships.
They're spaceships, Then that's another opportunity. More of a Space 99. Liberated for Blake 7. So
they're flying backwards.
They're all flying backwards because we don't know how this thing will pan out. I was asked as part of my interview for the role I'm in now. What did I see myself doing in 5 years? And it's hard to answer that when actually, the world in which we live is changing. In our industry, we have paradigm shifts, and there goes another one. Things. So I don't know. Learning will be different. Technology will be different. Will we be all in the cloud?
It'll be jacking your brain into the matrix and just learning like that.
Yeah, exactly.
I know kung fu.
Oh, if only. I've always fancied playing the guitar. So if somebody's working on that right now, and then you just plug it in, then that'd be fantastic. My daughter can do it. I had lessons to do it. I thought it would be natural. It's obviously she's inherited it from me. 10 lessons and I can do that, or I can do that. I just can't do both at the same time. So, well, generally I would say most people can learn most things. Music and me, I'm afraid, absolutely no rhythm.
So, do you have any final messages for iTWire viewers and readers, and also for your current and potential customers?
I guess I'd say DDLS is very approachable, and it's a pretty well kept secret that we extend beyond technology. If people know us, it's, those are the guys that do IT training. I guess I'd say if you're working in IT roles now and you're thinking about your future and how that might pan out and the skills you might need, check out the courses we're doing around sort of process, Agile, Prince 2, those kind of methodologies. And frankly, it's a blatant plug, but I get our subject matter experts to write blogs. There's some great stuff that involves curly brackets, semicolons and PowerShell outside of my skill set, but there's also quality stuff around, why ITIL's important in the current century, etc. So, work out what our industry looks like these days, and match your skill set and your goals around that.
And you'll go far.
And you'll go far. I set my goal to work for this organisation in Australia with 6 months to spare before I was too old to migrate.
That was
to
your
Australia.
goal, not your girl.
That was my
That's what it sounded like.
Goal. Yvonne, if you're watching, goal. So that was my goal, and I delivered on that. If you don't have a plan, you'll never know if you're going to get to where you set out to go to. So that's my view of the world.
Thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. Thank you.